This is Tony with Concordia College. We're going to be making some Guinness Chocolate Cupcakes with some Bailey's cream cheese frosting for this year's Celtic Festival online. I'm just going to be making 6 cupcakes. The recipe that will be posted online will be for 24. So that'll utilize an entire bottle of beer, so you don't have to throw any away. So the first thing we're going to do is start by putting our canola oil inside of a bowl. And then we're going to mix that with our Guinness beer. About 1/3 of the bottle should go. Then we're going to add our cake mix. If you have a wonderful chocolate cake mix that you like to use at home, that's perfectly fine. So we're just going to kind of fold that into the oil. It is going to be a bit grainy at first just because we don't have all of the liquid in there. That's totally normal. If you have a stand mixer at home, that certainly makes this part of the job a lot easier. You can also do it by hand. Once that's fairly well mixed, you can add another 1/3 of the beer, and we'll just fold that in as well. Now it's going to take a little while to push that beer in there. That's fine. Just keep mixing it around. It'll go in. You're going to want to make sure that you're continuously scraping the side of the bowl, because the part that's not mixed is going to be the part that's most likely to ride up the side. Once that's all mixed in, you're going to add the last 1/3 of your beer. Now you're going to know it's ready to go when it reaches kind of a pudding consistency. And if you've poured in a little much beer, which I have right at the moment, and it looks a little wet, that's not a problem at all. They'll still probably bake fine. Now once that's good and mixed, we're going to put that into our little sheet pan here. I've got a muffin tin already lined with 6 liners, and you can just scoop those out. We use a number 24 scoop. It's going to be roughly equal to about 2 tablespoons or 1.5 ounces, depending on what you have at home. And then once that's ready to go, you can go ahead and put it in your oven at about 330 for about 15 to 20 minutes. I usually check it at about the 12-minute mark and kind of go from there depending on how hot your oven runs. If you can shove a fork or a toothpick or basically anything with a fine point in it and it comes back out clean, that's when you know it's fully cooked. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to make some of our Bailey's cream cheese frosting. Now we're going to start by mixing our powdered sugar together with the butter. We're going to put that in a large bowl here. Now if you have a stand mixer at home, I would highly recommend using that just because that's going to be significantly easier on your arms. Now once you get all those in the bowl, you can put them in your mixer on medium for about 5 minutes. Now that we've got that all mixed in, we're going to start adding some of the cream cheese. Now the recipe is going to mention that you add it in cubes, assuming that you bought a loaf of cream cheese. However, cream cheese doesn't always come in loaves, and so personally, I'm just going to scrape some out with a fork and just add it in kind of in larger clumps. Now for this, you're going to want to turn your stand mixer to low, just so that it doesn't get over whipped. And you want to make sure that your cream cheese is at room temperature because it's just going to mix a lot easier at room temperature. I'm going to mix all mine in at once, but it's going to be significantly easier for you to put it in just little bits. That way so it incorporates a little more evenly. It's going to be a little bit harder for you to kind of beat it in if you do it all in at once like me. So you just put that in the bowl and you're going to do the same thing. Mix it all in until it's well incorporated. So as the cream cheese gets mixed in there, it's going to look a lot more like frosting. It's going to have kind of the consistency of soft butter. Soft enough that it's going to differentiate itself significantly from the bowl of powdered sugar you had just a little bit ago. At this point in time, you're going to mix in the Baileys. Now I know what you're thinking when you look at the recipe, that that's not a whole lot of Baileys. And that's true. However, it's got a very strong taste and you don't want too much of it because it's going to get real boozy really fast. And once you put that in there, again, you're going to mix it for another minute or so just to make sure it's incorporated all the way through the frost. So after you've been mixing for a while, what you're looking for is a light and fluffy consistency. So that way when it goes on the cupcakes, it's also light and fluffy. We're going to go ahead and put this in our piping bag. Now if you don't use piping bags at home, which I don't either, you can just use a Ziploc bag and cut a hole in the corner. And also, if you're not tremendously great at piping, you can just spread it on there with a knife too. Now if you get some of the powdered sugar that didn't get mixed in inside the bag, that's not the end of the world. Just makes it look like you sprinkled it there on purpose. So we'll go ahead and we'll push that down here. And then we'll get that piped right on top of our cupcakes. Now, if there's an issue where you have kids at home and you don't want to feed them alcohol, just remember that the cupcakes, all of the alcohol cooks out of those, so they're perfectly safe for kids to eat. And if need be, you don't have to add the Baileys to the cream cheese frosting, or you can just use some other type of liqueur flavoring that does not have alcohol in it.